How much do you want to know about the management of your own money? And who is ultimately responsible, you, your advisor, or the government? Scott Stathis knows a thing or two about this. He's the managing director of Stathis Partners, and welcome to the Language of Business.
Thank you.
So why is the Department of Labor getting involved with money management?
They have been all along, but not from an individual investor standpoint, from a company standpoint. So if you work for a company and you have a retirement account with a company, the DOL is involved. So this new regulation expands their involvement to individual investors as well.
And what is their latest regulatory change?
It's called the fiduciary rule. And what is fiduciary? Fiduciary means that an advisor has to act in the best interest of a client, right? So the new regulation, it still relates to retirement accounts, but now it's individual retirement accounts. So if you're an investor that has an individual retirement account and you're working with an advisor, that advisor now has to act as a fiduciary and do what's in the best interest of the client.
Why wouldn't an advisor always do what's in the best interest of a client?
Exactly, good question. From the DOL's perspective, there are instances when the advisor doesn't do what's in the best interest of the client because an advisor's compensation varies by product. So in theory, an advisor may have some products that if they sell those products, they get compensated more than if they sell other products. And so there's an undue influence in theory, right? Up until this point, the basic market regulator has been, caveat emptor, buyer beware. If you don't like your advisor, find a new one, and the free market just gets rid of the advisors that don't have enough business, right? So the DOL is basically trying to monitor and regulate that.
How much does the average person on the street know about this?
Not much at all, actually. Unless you're reading the Wall Street Journal on a daily basis and happen to dig into, it's not front page news, right? But it's not implemented yet. It'll start April of 2017, but the rule has been passed. There have been some lawsuits brought up against the rule, but everybody's thinking that it'll still survive. And April of 2017 is when investors will have to start finding out about it because it's mandated that advisors have to tell their clients.
But conspicuously absent is a requirement that the advisors tell their clients about the new law.
There actually is a requirement. So there's two ways in which an advisor has to tell their clients. Essentially, any advisor that is working with a client related to their retirement account has to let that client know, their whole host of new disclosures, that they are acting by law in a fiduciary manner.
But this is probably part of a 15-page mailing that they're going to send out, right?
So there's two ways in which your typical investor is going to find out about this. One is what you just said. So every firm has to send out a new disclosure, a new mailing that stipulates a bunch of stuff in there, and it'll be more than one page.
Right, exactly.
So what percentage of the population is going to read it? We don't know.
Right.
But the other piece of that is if you're my advisor and I sit down with you after April 2017 and I say, let's talk about my retirement income needs when I retire in 5 years, you will have to let me know that you're operating under a fiduciary standard. Right?
From your perspective, is this a game changer or run-of-the-mill?
No, it's a significant game changer. It'll change the business models of every investment firm out there. There are some investment firms that have to act as a fiduciary now, RIAs, but the majority, the easiest way to think about this is if you look at advisors and the way they get compensated, any advisor that is compensated in a manner where their compensation varies by product is affected by this. That's the majority of advisors out there, right? Because different products have different commissions, and there's reasons for that. Different products are more difficult to monitor and explain, et cetera, right? So if you look at flat fee advisors, fee-based advisors that are working based on a retainer like an attorney does, there's not many of those. Those are the advisors that are least affected by this.
In the bottom line, is it going to make for better money management?
Possibly. There are a lot of unintended consequences of this regulation. It will increase costs in the business. It will reduce the ability for your average advisor to work with your middle market client. A lot of smaller to mid-size investors, talking about amount of investable assets, they're going to lose their advisor because it's impossible with all this new regulation. There's a compression pressure on fees and on compensation. and there's an increase in costs. So the profit margins are really going to be squeezed. Your average advisor is not going to be able to work with your average client anymore because it's not going to be profitable. It costs money to provide investment advice. So they're going to go to the higher net worth individuals. The average investor is going to be pushed to a self-service model or a call-in model and not have access to a live person other than on the phone. So we've seen this happen in other countries already. So the UK and Australia, as well as Canada. And there were a good percentage of people that lost their advisor, and there are a good percentage of advisors that left the market.
Scott, thank you.
You're welcome.
Scott Stathis, managing partner of Stathis Partners.